This is a story all about how sitcoms and the career of a rising rap superstar got flipped, turned upside down.
Hey, Uncle Phil! Oh. How you doing?
The year is 1990. NBC launches a fish-out-of-water half-hour comedy featuring a talented black cast led by an ambitious young rapper full of crossover appeal, showcasing a full breadth of African-American life.
I had made, 3 or 4 music videos, and Quincy was like, that dude got it.
From West Philadelphia to Bel Air and into pop culture history.
For white America, they have never seen or believed that there are cultural differences between any black families.
This is the story of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
It was the question of would the show be successful? 8 o'clock on Monday night on NBC. I didn't realize that we were doing something special.
What we created spawned a whole generation.
Uncut, in your face.
That guy has got it.
First show I fell in love with.
Time.
Jefferson.
Some movie star, that's rare.
Fresh new energy.
Multi-dimensional. Unapologetic.
People want to see it.
Can't even talk about black comedy without
You have comedy? Eddie Murphy. Kings of comedy.
Kevin Hart.
Chappelle.
fundamental to the black culture. When you think about black sitcoms of the 90s, what shows come to your mind? For me, it's like Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Martin, Family Matters.
I think if you think of the actor that's most successful from all of them, would probably be Will.
Yes.
And the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
You certainly have grown, Will.
Well, we all have.
The cast was amazing. Like, who could have been better than Carlton?
People may not think we're twins, but I'll bet they think we're brothers.
Who could have been better than Jeffrey?
It is a special thrill for me as well.
Ashley was everything to me.
Back up! Mind your business, that's all, just mind your business.
Karen Parsons was all that for me.
I'm in a bad mood, and somebody is going to suffer.
Did you guys have a favorite Aunt Viv?
Yeah, dark skin.
Dark Skin and Viv had the dance moves.
Had the dance.
She brought like gravitas to the scene.
And when she was disappointed in them, it really felt like they were in trouble.
Because when she was mad, she was mad.
Yeah.
People talk about the top 25 sitcoms and not black sitcoms. When they say sitcoms,
Period, yeah.
The Fresh Prince of Bel Air is always on that list.
I thought you said we had Martin. Hey! What a Will. Thank you for doing this.
I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy you're here.
We never did this
No,
before.
yes we did.
We did when?
1996, I did a little TV show called Vibe.
As you can see, we're all dressed as gangsters. What's up, gangsters?
Yes. Oh,
Yes,
that's
yeah,
right.
it was-
Yes,
you
right.
didn't watch it.
Yes,
You didn't watch
yes.
it.
No, I watched
But
it.
when we called you to shoot the presentation pilot to sell it,
Yes.
you were on that.
You rocking a baldy now. Is this for a role?
Hold on. But see, there's a whole, thing that goes with a bald head.
And you did the show, so you've never told me no.
That's true.
Yes. So we're here to talk about the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
Fresh Prince of Bel Air, yes, sir.
What year was that?
It was on the air 1990 to 96. Yeah.
Let's go back to the origin.
Yeah.
Where did they find you? How did this all come to be?
The Fresh Prince of Bel Air is based on the real life Benny Medina. So Benny's the real Fresh Prince of
executive
Bel Air.
producer and
Executive
creator.
producer of the show. And he went from Watts to Beverly Hills. I met him backstage at Arsenio.
This is when you were just rapping?
Yeah, this was 1988 when I started coming to LA. We won a Grammy, and then we flopped our next album. So I was like, hey, I need to find something new to do with my life.
But couldn't you still go on the road and do dates and make money?
So I would have been able to had I not flopped my album.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. And
Okay,
people
gotcha.
were like, yeah, we don't need to hear parents just don't understand.
There's no need to argue. Parents just don't understand.
We understand.
We understand. We understand enough. We understand enough. I managed to get myself from famous to broke.
What's your kind of broke? Like there's broke.
No.
And then there's like, I'm down to my last
damn,
million.
my black card, I left it at home. So I didn't pay the IRS effectively, you know?
Right, not the way you.
Not the way you're supposed to. So
Kind of in a Chris Tucker, Wesley Snipes. type.
in music, it's all cash. Do you remember the 900 numbers?
Sure.
You're right, so it was 1-900-909-Jeff.
This is DJ Jazzy Jeff. Yo, my name is The Prince. Stop whatever you're doing and listen to this. You know, sometimes there's just nothing to do at home, so now you can call me and Prince on the telephone.
We were getting 5,000 calls a day, and people would sit and listen, and we would leave messages, so it was all cash.
$2 the first minute, 45 cents each additional minute.
Now, IRS doesn't like it when you don't pay.
They don't.
They get aggressive. It just seemed like there was other people they could have been messing with.
Right.
Yeah.
Other people.
They were the people, but
There's other shows, I'm
there's
sure
other
people ain't
shows, yeah,
paying.
but they was all over me for a minute. I sold everything. I sold my house, my cars, motorcycles, and I was literally down to the only thing I had was cash. I had a brown paper bag with, you know, about, after I paid rent, with about $4,000. I was coming to LA to
Pursue acting?
To pursue acting.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
And at that time, Arsenio
Was it?
Was it. Everybody went to Arsenio.
Absolutely.
And the show was one thing, but backstage at Arsenio was the
Yeah, greatest green room
It was
ever.
as hot as any club you've ever been to. People who weren't on the show would be backstage, right?
Hi.
Yeah. So my girlfriend at the time, she was like, just go to Arsenio. And I was like, so, and do what? That was what I would do all day, every day. I would just hang around backstage at Arsenio. Nobody knew that I was broke. So I was there and just meeting people, hanging out, trying to make it happen. And I met Benny Medina, and he pitched me the idea for the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I was like, yeah, you know.
Oh, you weren't feeling it?
Yeah, it seemed really bizarre.
Unbelievable?
Yeah, it just seemed like unrealistic. It was a party at Quincy's house, and you know, Benny and Quincy had partnered to develop television. When I met Quincy, Quincy was the one who said, no, it's not Watts. It's not Beverly Hills, right? And Quincy's house was in Bel-Air.
Bel-Air.
So we were in Quincy's house, and Quincy said, where you from? And I said, Philly. And Quincy was like, oh man, I got some stories about Philly. And he said, okay, your character's from Philly.
Wow.
And he said, fuck Beverly Hills. It ain't Beverly Hills. He's like, this is Bel-Air. He said, Bel-Air make Beverly Hills look like public housing. So everybody was at Quincy's house.
Right.
And he introduced me to a guy. He was the current head of NBC. It was Brandon Tartikoff. And Quincy says, Brandon, come here. I want you to meet Will. I want you to meet Will from Philly. Right, so he introduced me. And Quincy announces to the room, there's like 100 people at his house, and he says, we're gonna do an audition. And I was like, oh shit, who the fuck is
Who y'all bringing out?
Who's about to do something? Quincy had people move the furniture out of the living room. And I was like, Q, whoa, what are you doing? He said, no, hey, bring me that Mars Day script. Bring me that Mars Day script. He had a script for
I remember that Mars Day script.
He had it was a failed Mars Day
TV
pilot.
show.
Yes.
Care for a snack?
And Quincy was like, we're gonna do an audition. I was like,
Cold?
Cold audition.
He didn't say go in the room and work this out a little bit?
He said, no, Will, read this. And there was like other actors and actresses in the room, and he's grabbing people and putting the parts. All right, we're gonna do these scenes. And I was like, yo, whoa. And Quincy took me in another room. He would say, all right, Philly, what you need? Right.
He said, I need 3 more days.
I was like, Q, I can't do an audition.
Had you acted at all?
I hadn't acted
No high
at
school
all.
play, no
Nothing,
junior high.
Only my
Your videos.
music videos.
Right.
Listen, homeboys, don't mean to bust your bubble, but girls of the world ain't nothing but trouble. One Friday.
I had made, 3 or 4 music videos, and Quincy was like, that dude got it.
Right.
I said, I got to work with an acting coach. I got to do something. I can't do an audition in the middle of your living room. He said, tell me what you need, Philly. And I was like, I said, just give me a week. He said, okay. They said, okay, well, a week is good. And he said, then you know what's gonna happen? You know, in a week, you know, Brandon Tartikoff, you know, something's gonna come up with his kid and, you know, he's not gonna be able to make it and then he's gonna have to postpone. And I was like, oh, well, 2 weeks, yeah, no, that would, if I had 2 weeks, then it would be really good.
Much better.
Yeah, he said, then in 2 weeks, you know, his right hand, Warren Littlefield, you know, something gonna happen with his wife and something he gonna have to postpone. And I was like, well, yeah, if I had 3 weeks, then I'd...
You're going the other way.
And he said, everybody that needs to say yes to this show is sitting out in my living room right now, waiting for you. Make your call. And I'm sitting there, Michael Jackson, 48 million, Thriller sold.
Right.
Right. Oprah Winfrey, you know, is behind. And Michael's like up, he's like, what you gonna do, Will? Michael, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, shit, and this Oscars and Grammys and everything, and I'm like, fuck it, give me 10 minutes. I went out in his living room, and it's really a blur, but I just read the stuff, and all I remember is like everybody was clapping, you know, and Quincy points to Brandon Tartikoff. He said, did you like it? And Brandon said, yeah, I liked it. He said, don't give me that bullshit. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Did you like it? He said, yes, I liked it. He said, okay, you're his lawyer. I need something drawn up tonight. And he was like, wait, Quincy said, no paralysis through analysis. No paralysis through analysis. I need a deal memo tonight. And from that night, we were shooting a pilot for The Fresh Prince 4 months later. From that to shooting. Shooting. We were shooting the pilot 4 months later.
I'm not sure if this generation knows that The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was based on your life story. How did that come to fruition?
I used to fence at Bel-Air. Really? How much you think we could get for that stereo?
When we think of the show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, what parts of that show really depicted your life?
The fish out of water. The fish out of water that is exposed to an entirely new world, group of people, and also looking at it as a young black man, that when I came into contact with other black families in Beverly Hills, they actually were not very accepting of me being the outsider. I actually ended up from eastern part of LA. I think, you know, it's not
like,
Compton.
Right, and it's not South Central.
Right.
But it's not fantastic. You leave East LA.
Yeah.
And you move to Beverly Hills and you live in some man's garage. Who was this guy?
Let's be clear on this move thing.
Okay.
Move sounds like I had a truck. Move sounds like it was a plan.
Right.
The truth of the matter is I was scared as shit that some shit was gonna be going down in my house, and I needed to get out of there. There were 5 kids, 2 adults and a dog in a house the size of this living room right now, and it was too crowded and too crazy. I knew some people in Beverly Hills, packed up, took my bike, and I rode from there to their garage, hopped this fence, and I hid out there for a few days with nobody really coming to look for me or thinking about it. I just ran away. So from there is the access to a world that I never knew about. I literally had heard from a family that inspired the Carlton character, I don't understand why you're hanging out with this boy from the hood. Like, we did not move up here from Baldwin Hills to have you hanging out with people like that. The move of going from that eastern part of LA to Beverly Hills, game changer. Game changer that opened up my eyes to so many different things and so many different people. Went to Beverly High, met the Gordy family. I had never seen this level of celebrities, and I had never seen black people this successful. I had just never seen Diana Ross driving up in canary yellow Rolls Royces, and Marvin Gaye and Stevie Wonder and the Jackson family. All of that right there, just completely and totally said, Benny, entertainment.
So how did Quincy Jones come into fold?
I had been doing really well in black music and bringing hip hop to Warner Brothers, which was the division that I took over. And when I was at Warner Brothers, Quincy Jones was God. I fortunately got to work with him as an A&R executive on music projects. You know, I brought him, you know, Tevin Campbell. I discovered Tevin in a church, Albie Shore.
So how did you know Will Smith would be the guy?
It's a really great question because there was nothing in his history that should have shown that.
Right.
There was something in every one of his music videos that, you know, had kind of this, I don't know, sitcom, you know, new texture to it. It was something that actually...
They were humorous, for sure.
They were humorous, they were colorful, poppy.
And slashed my shirt. I laughed at first and thought, hold up, that hurt.
And it was the very thing that actually I think the elitist of hip hop actually did not like about him. The kind of mainstream pop quality that he had.
How dare you be clean?
Yeah, clean and
You don't
just
wanna
funny
cuss.
and
Right.
writing something about your parents.
So to you other kids all across the land, take it from me, parents just don't understand.
His ambition was so present without having any history to substantiate it. You just knew he was gonna do it. And I was like, if he's gonna do it, why don't he do this?
Of all the new TV shows slated for this fall, the one drawing the most favorable attention is called The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
So you cast the show.
Yeah.
And now it's time to shoot the pilot. What was that like? And then what was it like when you first saw it? Did you go, yo, we got something?
Yes,
Really?
it was electric. Because, again, the presentation was so strong. That was really where I said, okay, for everything that's gone into the business of doing this, I'm happy that we actually have this group of people to be able to execute it. And what else did you see? The thing that you need to have most in something like that was that a star was born. That guy has got it. It's like, okay, let's go. You know, at that point, I'm a producer of a show and I'm a manager of a star.
Right.
So what did I see? How did I feel? I saw the future and I felt great.
Thanks, Benny.
You're welcome.
As the actors started to come, were you a part of the choosing of the actors? So you got to see all of that.
At the turn of the century, I feel like we were seeing Black success and Black wealth more than ever actually being put on the screen. By this time, The Cosby Show had already come out.
There you go. Now you don't have to shave.
So we were seeing Black people in different financial status.
It captured so much and showed Black families in such a different way than you had seen before.
When you look at Fresh Prince, the whole kind of archetype storyline of a family that's Black and affluent in the neighborhood, you know, that they are the only ones there. Everyone can kind of connect with this fish out of water family.
Just open that damn cell and let those two boys out of there. I'm gonna tie this place up with so much litigation that your grandchildren are gonna need lawyers.
I saw this family that mirrored my family on television, and that representation was beautiful for me to see too.
So Quincy had me sit in and, you know, work with all of the actors. And, you know, he really took it upon himself to make sure that he was teaching the process. The last two actors for the role of Jeffrey, Joseph Marcel and Ron Glass. And Quincy said, who you like? And I was like, you know, I like them both. There was really different
different take.
readings,
Right.
right? And he said, yeah, but the British boy don't take your shit. So Quincy liked the idea that he was challenging me as an actor, and that was one of the things. He was building it that everybody was a better actor than me.
I gotta ask you about Alfonso Ribeiro.
You love me.
Hey, my brother, you wanna take this outside? It's not unusual.
There's been a couple of relationships I've had creative relationships I've had that have totally transformed my life. And the first one was Jazzy Jeff, right? That where you meet somebody who understands you in a way that other people don't understand you.
Right.
And they're able to understand you and then craft things for you to create and shine and explode.
Right.
And Alfonso was that guy for sure. When he came in for the audition, it was like, no question. That's the one.
Who are your heroes?
Well, my dad. And Brian Gumble, he's darn good.
Nobody commits as hard as Alf. We call it the comedic limb. And you know where you go and you're gonna try this joke and you're gonna go out there with it and you're gonna risk it all.
Yo, how you playing me, Prince? What? Yo, you dissing me. Come on, man, stop it.
And one of his big things why he would commit so hard with the lines, he says you commit so the writers can know it doesn't work. So Alf was redlining on Tuesday. We're not shooting till Friday. And on Tuesday, he's giving everything to every, The willingness to crash and burn is the only way you can really be funny.
Absolutely. Talk to me about Karen. Karen Parsons.
Listen.
Did she come in as that character? Was it written like that, or did she become?
Yeah,
up until then we hadn't really seen like a black ditzy.
It's just not fair. I want my employer to want me for me, not for what I've accomplished. You know what I mean? It's my passion.
She created that character. That was one of the things that was really interesting for her, because you know Karen, you know she's not like Hillary.
Are you in love with Trevor?
What's love got to do with it? I'm having a wedding.
When she came in and did an audition like that, fully in character, it was impressive.
Dad, I need $300.
And then Tatiana.
You know, what has she done at the time? It was we were seeing her from the beginning of Eddie Murphy.
Oh, yeah. Hit him in the ding-ding. Yes.
Why do fools fall in love?
At that age, to have that kind of commitment, she didn't have any rival in casting.
Let's talk about James Avery.
Oh man.
Y'all's chemistry was, did that happen immediately?
You think you're so wise. Look at me when I'm talking to you.
Everybody on the show had done theater.
They had chops.
Yes, exactly. So they thought of themselves as a troupe. We're one group. James Avery, he wanted me to win so bad. He didn't approve of nothing, but he loved watching me. He wanted me to be a dramatic actor.
I saved your life. You owe me.
The greatest gift that this life has given me is I have never looked around and not had great people that wanted me to win.
My son could have died because of you.
Look, I know, Uncle Phil, that's all I've been thinking about. I mean, look, you gotta believe me, I didn't mean to hurt him.
Yeah, well, you did. You hurt him and you could have hurt yourself.
Hey, it worked for the Beeb.
Do I look like a white guy named Ward?
At what point did you get fully comfortable? Because we've all seen the clips where you're mouthing the words because you knew the whole script.
Yeah.
Like, at what point was it like, I got this?
Yeah.
This is my show.
Probably third season. So there's two things, right? So it's one thing to be an actor, and it's another thing to be a star. An actor does their part, and a star knows how to create the whole environment so they can shine. So there's a point where you go from trusting the writers and trusting the directors and trusting the producers and trusting everybody, and then one day you say, hey guys, you know what? I'm not sure about that. I want to do it another way. I want to do something different.
Could they feel that?
Yes. They didn't like it.
No. But who was the first person to feel like, what's going on? Is he?
So.
I got it, Janet. Okay.
No. Nobody, hey, don't nobody get to say nothing bad about Janet. I made a horrible error and misjudgment of her value and power and beauty to the show. I horribly underestimated what she was for me at that point in my life.
You know, Miss Banks, since you had that baby, there's something different about you.
Once I started working with Daphne, she was doing the same thing. They came up in the hell of this business.
Yeah.
They got a young Black man that is the lead in a show. And there's a certain mothering quality that I was rebelling against. One of the things I remember, we had one of the highest rated shows and stuff like that. And Daphne just came over one day. She said, hey, don't let your successes go to your head. Don't let your failures go to your heart. That's what Janet was trying to do.
Right.
And I wasn't open to
College
it.
professor with a PhD.
The theme
Yes.
song to your show.
Yes.
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take...
You saw the show and you thought of a song, or you had a song and then came to show.
Man, listen, everybody sang that song.
Now this is a story all about how my
Life got twisted upside down.
And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
And most of my white friends know all the lyrics to that theme song.
Everybody and their mama and their uncle and their dog knew that song.
In West Philadelphia.
Born and raised on the playground is where I
spending most of my days.
Chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool and all shooting some b-ball outside of the school. When a
There could be a Jewish lady that's 65 years old. I mean, like, they knew every word. It's crazy.
said you're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air.
The main titles and that theme song was as magnificent as one could imagine because it reiterated every week the premise of the show.
That was like the true definition of like viral without the internet.
Looked at my kingdom, I was finally there to sit on my throne as the Prince of Bel Air.
So, you know, Quincy did Sanford and Son. You know, one of the greatest theme songwriters ever. So Quincy presented a theme song. And I like hated it. And so I go to Jeff, I was like, dude, this is the song that Quincy wants. And I was like, I can't say nothing. You know, it's Quincy. What I'm supposed to say? And Jeff was like, yo, we should record what it should be. So, you know, Jeff had his equipment, and we in his hotel room, and we worked it out. And, you know, we just we made a demo that basically, it just tells the story of the show. So we wrote it, and I went to Quincy, and I was like, hey, Q, you know, I just want you, you know, can you take a listen to this? I was just thinking of maybe what this should be, you know, for the theme song. So I played it for him. He listened. He said, that's good.
And I'd like to take a minute, just sit right there. I'll tell you how I became the prince of a town called Bel Air.
Mine's a piece of shit.
So he understood
yes, he
immediately.
understood. He said, mine's a piece of shit. He said, that's what it needs to be. He said, that's the theme song.
Because it was probably coming from his era.
Yeah, so, you know, they're keeping the border. It was what I heard. And I was like, oh, Q.
Yo, home to Bel Air.
Favorite moment on the show?
There's a couple of favorite moments, but I think the one that stands out for me is the father scene.
Wasted my money buying this stupid present.
That was like,
Hey, he wasn't there to teach me how to shoot my first basket, but I learned, didn't I? Hey, I got pretty damn good at it too, didn't I, Uncle Phil? Got through my first
it was
day.
like a dramatic scene. And it was like we were taking a shot at doing a dramatic scene on a sitcom. So that was really new. Like you didn't do that. You didn't take audiences to that place. But with this cast, and it was like we were going to take the shot.
I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. To hell with him!
So I had studied it, and I wanted to do it. And James,
shaking right now.
Yeah. James Avery was always like, nope, not good enough. Nope, not good enough. You know, all the movies I was doing and all the music, nope, you know. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And we get in front of the audience. So we start the scene, and we go into it, and I mess my line up, and I flub in front of the audience. But the director didn't want the audience to know that what it was about to be, so I flubbed my line. He was like, cut, 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 cut. So the audience wouldn't see it. I was like, fuck! And James said, hey! In front of the audience. He says, hey, right here. Right here. And I was like, and he said, use me. Talk to me. I was like, and he said, action. And the scene that's in the show is that next take that we did.
How come you don't want me, man?
And he pulls me in, and he's holding me, and he whispers in my ear, now that's fucking acting. And I was like, I was full shoulders. That was like the highest moment for me. You know, he finally approved.
Wow.
I owe a big part of like my, you know, desire to pursue dramatic acting to James Avery. It's like he had trained his voice and he trained his body and all of that, and he knew from being on the stage, he knew how to hold that space. So I wanted to learn how to do that and how to command that energy in my body and voice and, you know, be able to, you know, find that, you know, corresponding vibration in the hearts of the audience, you know. But yeah, James Avery.
No one can hear you scream.
Bel Air, what was it like when you first saw that trailer?
See, for some reason you think this is a game. This is not a game, Will.
It was like the craziest idea to shoot the dramatic version of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And over all of the years, all of the things, all of the ideas, that was the first time I was like, that's clever.
Will, I will not bail you out again.
In this house, I'm not Uncle Phil. I'm the law.
Hey.
What's going on here?
What's going on? Like, I'm just working on this song. You know, being that you're so into music, I thought this would be the best place to discuss music and Bel Air.
Let's do it. You stop playing those keys and let's
sure?
do that.
I think, all right,
It's okay.
let's
Circle
get
back
into
to
it.
that.
Before the TV show Bel Air came out, somebody created a short, which was a dramatic version of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Did you guys see this?
Yes.
It was called Bel Air, and then they used that to sell it, which made the show Bel Air. The way they flipped the characters, like, I don't know if you would wear the clothes that this Carlton's wearing.
This Carlton's a lot darker, a lot less upbeat than the Carlton I remember.
I hope one day we can talk about why you're really here.
It's a more realistic take, in my view, because growing up around like suburban kids, it wasn't as happy as people think it is. Well, I think the most impressive thing about the new cast is they didn't try so hard to duplicate the old cast.
At all.
Best people for the job.
Are you surprised?
No.
I'm not surprised that you're gay.
Thank you for coming out, Coco. You are on the show Bel Air.
Let's go find you something fit for a prince.
All right. How did you come about getting that show?
I just auditioned.
That's
Yeah,
it?
simple as that. I mean, that's kind of how all my opportunities came to me. I don't know what stage you get at where they just know your name and you have the job, but for now, I'm the audition.
Will Smith's audition story to The Fresh Prince is one of the craziest audition stories. What was your audition experience like?
It was a little funny because I didn't fully understand how I made sense reading for Hillary because I thought it was supposed to be exactly like the original characters, image-wise and everything. So I didn't want to audition for her. I wanted to audition for Ashley. So I was asking my team, I was like, let me just audition for Ashley. They were like, Ashley's 12 in this show. Get your ass on camera for Hillary. And I was like, okay. So I went into it very reluctant. And that's another thing that I feel like I taught myself, like, you cannot have any limiting doubts. Like, whatever's for you is for you. So just go into everything with mental unlocked, you know? Don't put any limits, any boundaries.
Hillary Banks, you haven't done it again. Fabulous.
Or you're a fan of the original show?
I mean, absolutely. I feel like Fresh Prince is a classic. Yeah. It's Black representation at its finest.
Every great thing.
My siblings, we all would watch it late night, be up, supposed to be in sleep, going to school. Yeah, absolutely.
You play Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
Hillary, look who I found. Oh my God, y'all, look at this. This is my cousin, Will. He just got here from Philly.
Have you ever met Karen Parsons, the original?
I did. Well, I didn't meet her in person. We got to talk, I think probably around season 1 of Bel Air, and it was so cool. She told me that she's like very particular about actresses, and she said that she really liked my take on Hillary, and she gave me her stamp of approval.
I need a new hat.
For what? Probably her head.
Karen Parsons' take on Hillary, really lighthearted, kind of ditzy. Completely different from your Hillary because your Hillary is, in my opinion, pretty much running the house. You're the boss of the house. How do you feel about your take on Hillary versus that take?
Well, I feel like because Bel Air is a more dramatic version of the show premise, I think women aren't like that now. There's so many different opportunities for women to have goals and to, you know, be feminine and dress nice and love fashion as well as they love building an empire. And that's like more normal these days. So I feel like Hillary needed to be more relatable to the common woman who is very about her business, about her time, about not wasting her energy on things that don't return that investment on her. And I feel like also, Hillary's mad girly and she likes to be cute. And so I feel like that makes her very relatable. So I think that's how they had to like kind of shift her to make her feel more like the common girl who has a lot going on.
What other differences do you see between the two shows?
Because it's a drama and you can explore more raw concepts without having to keep it light. Common themes, police brutality, drugs, social media, all things that are common plights of the world that I think make it very different from the original sitcom is we really dive deep into what's being talked about, what's being felt in the world.
Tutorials, you know.
Oh, yeah.
What should people remember as the legacy of the Fresh Prince of Bel Air?
For me, I feel like Fresh Prince left such a legacy when it comes to sitcoms, especially Black sitcoms. The show would come on Mondays, and then we go to school on Tuesday, and everybody would be talking about what happened on the Fresh Prince of Bel Air.
You're all grounded. Good night.
I think one of the things that stood out to me the most about the show was the juxtaposition from the hood kid coming to the suburbs and meet the suburban kids, but the father and the mother who were in the hood, who elevated themselves, and just seeing Black people in 3 different ways.
Just certain shows that I watch, I'm like, oh, they're doing what they were doing in Fresh Prince. To me, that legacy to like be silly and goofy definitely is stuck inside of me, where I'm like, I'm silly and goofy like that.
Will you marry me?
the show gets on the air. When did you guys know that the show was a hit?
I personally never really felt like it was. The fact that at the time, it was blazing a new ground. Remember, for white America, they have never seen or believed that there are cultural differences between any black families. Everybody's just black.
Exactly.
You know, you are no different than this side.
Right. So it might not have been a Nielsen's rating success.
Right.
But it was more of a cultural success.
Yeah. Culturally, the show, through Will's eyes and through Will's journey, represented something that had never really been discussed, that we are not all the same, and that we don't all agree on everything.
Let's talk about the impact of the show. We saw an affluent family with the Cosby Show, right? It was exciting for our culture. But then you guys come out and take it to a different level. What was that like for you as a young black rapper from Philly to have this global impact?
What's so crazy, when those things are happening, looking back is a completely different experience than being in it. When I was in it, everybody was like killing me. That's not real rap and all of that. And that's, you know, that don't belong on TV and all of that. Hell yeah.
It did bother you.
Oh my God. Like, in the moment, you know, it was the question of would the show be successful, and hip hop, 8 o'clock on Monday night on NBC, that ain't real hip hop. And, you know, so I didn't realize that we were doing something special. The one thing when I saw, oh man, we had captured something in that fusion. Do you remember Summertime premiered after an episode of Fresh Prince?
Absolutely.
Right? We got NBC to allow us to shorten the episode for a premiere of the video of Summertime after Fresh Prince. And like, only Michael Jackson had ever done anything like that. And I remember when that happened, people was like, oh, okay.
He's different.
That was unique. And it was like Summertime became a #1 record in that next week, and the show was top 10, and it was like that connection of the hip hop with the show. It was doing something that nobody was doing.
You know, it was just when I first came out here, you know, I was a relative. But, you know, for the past 6 years, like, we've been family. I just don't want to go back to being just a relative again.
Where do you think the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air fits into this? When you think of black television, where does it fit?
When I think about, you know, the Fresh Prince, we really benefited from almost a 30, 40-year history of people breaking television for black actors. And I just feel like deeply grateful for the timing and the position that we were able to slide into, you know, as they say, on the shoulders of giants.
Will Smith.
My guy.
Appreciate you and love you, man.
All
Thank
love,
you.
brother. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
This was great.
This is beautiful.